The shipyard orbited Neptune like a metal moon. It had taken 40 years to build, and another 30 to complete its first real project. Now that project floated in the darkness of space, so massive that it blocked out the distant sun. The UNS Eternal Resolve was 12 kilometers of human engineering. Its hull was dark gray, covered in armor plates that could withstand impacts from asteroids. Thousands of windows dotted its surface, glowing with warm light. At its center, massive engines waited to push the ship faster than light itself. Captain Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge, watching through the main viewport. She was 52 years old, with short gray hair and eyes that had seen 3 wars. Her uniform was crisp and dark blue, with gold bars on her shoulders. Around her, 200 crew members worked at their stations. The bridge was the size of a football field. "All systems are green, Captain," said Commander Park, her second in command. He was younger, barely 40, with black hair and nervous energy. "Engineering reports the fusion cores are stable. We're ready for departure." Elena nodded slowly. Behind her, Admiral Chen watched from the command gallery. The old man had fought in the Mars Rebellion 40 years ago. He had lost an arm in that war. Now he had a robotic one that clicked when he moved. "Captain Vasquez," the Admiral said, his voice carrying across the bridge. "You understand your mission?" "Yes, sir," Elena replied. "Take the Eternal Resolve to Kepler 442. Establish humanity's presence in deep space. Make peaceful contact if we encounter anyone out there." "And if we don't?" Admiral Chen asked. "Then we chart the system and come home," Elena said. "But sir, we've been sending probes for 60 years. Someone is out there. They just haven't answered yet." The Admiral walked down the steps to stand beside her. His robotic fingers gripped the railing. "This ship carries enough firepower to crack a planet. 50,000 crew members, 20 years of supplies. Do you know why we built a warship instead of a colony vessel?" Elena had thought about this question for months. "Because we learned our lesson, sir. We explored Earth's oceans in wooden ships and pirates took them. We explored the Americas unarmed and violence found us anyway. We won't make that mistake again." "Correct," the Admiral said. "Hope is fragile. It needs protection." He stepped back and saluted. "Take her out, Captain. Show the universe that humanity is ready." Elena returned the salute. The Admiral left the bridge, his footsteps echoing. When he was gone, Elena sat in the captain's chair. It was large and comfortable, designed for long watches. "Helm, take us away from the shipyard." "Nice and slow." The ship shuddered as its thrusters fired. Slowly, the Eternal Resolve moved away from its birthplace. Crew members cheered at their stations. Some of them had been born on this ship during construction. They had never known another home. Far away, at a place called Council Station Zenith, other beings watched. The station was impossible to describe because it changed based on who looked at it. To some species, it was a crystal. To others, metal. To a few, it was pure energy. In a large chamber, representatives from 30 different species gathered. They came in all shapes and sizes. Some walked on 2 legs, others on 4 or 6. Some floated. Some existed only as clouds of glowing gas inside containment suits. A hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed the Eternal Resolve moving away from Neptune. "The humans have finished their war vessel," said a voice. It came from Ambassador Thelvrak, a reptilian being from the Sarith species. His scales were deep blue and his eyes were golden. He stood 3 meters tall with a tail that helped him balance. "It is larger than anything in our fleet," said another voice. This came from a Valix, a species that looked like floating jellyfish made of crystal. "Their weapon systems are primitive but powerful. Fusion-based technology. Explosive kinetics. They still use missiles." "Barbaric," muttered a Kresh representative. The Kresh looked like beetles made of silver metal. They had evolved on a high-gravity world and stood only 1 meter tall, but they were incredibly strong. Thelvrak raised a clawed hand. "Let us not judge too quickly. We have studied their transmissions for 80 of their years. Yes, they have a violent history, but they also have art, music, and philosophy. They debate ethics. They feel compassion. They feel too much," said the Velix. "Their emotions make them unstable. Look at their wars. They kill millions of their own kind over ideas and resources." "They also stopped their wars," Thelvrak countered. "Their planet was dying from pollution. They could have let it die. Instead, they unified. They fixed their atmosphere. They cleaned their oceans. They chose to save themselves." The chamber fell silent. A hologram appeared showing Earth. The blue and green planet looked peaceful from space. It was hard to imagine the violence that had once covered it. The question before us, Thelvrak continued, is simple. Do we make contact, or do we continue to watch? I say we watch, said the Kresh. A species that builds weapons before meeting neighbors is dangerous. Or wise, Thelvrak replied. Perhaps they understand something we have forgotten. The galaxy was not always peaceful. The Krell taught us that. The mention of the Krell made several species shift uncomfortably. The Krell were machines, ancient and hostile. For 300 years, the Council had maintained a cold war with them. Neither side attacked, but neither side trusted the other. The humans don't know about the Krell, said the Velix. They don't know about the Council. They are children playing with fire. Then perhaps it is time they learned, Thelvrak said. I propose we prepare a first contact fleet. Let us meet them at Kepler 442. Let us see what kind of species they truly are. The vote took hours. In the end, 17 species agreed. 8 voted against. 5 abstained. The motion passed. Back on the Eternal Resolve, Elena watched the stars stretch into lines. The faster-than-light drive was engaging. It felt like falling and flying at the same time. The ship groaned and hummed as it bent space around itself. Drive engaged, Commander Park said. We'll reach Kepler 442 in 3 weeks. Elena leaned back in her chair. 50,000 souls on this ship, all trusting her to lead them into the unknown. She thought about her daughter back on Earth. She thought about the message she had recorded before leaving. If you're watching this, it means we found something, the recording said. It means we're not alone. Don't be afraid. Whatever we find out there, we'll face it together. The stars blurred past the viewport. Behind the Eternal Resolve, 17 ships uncloaked from positions they had held for weeks. They were alien ships, each one different from the others. They watched the human vessel disappear into faster-than-light travel. Then, one by one, they followed. The galaxy held its breath. Humanity's first step into deep space had begun, and the question on every mind, human and alien alike, was simple. What would happen when they met? 3 weeks in faster-than-light travel felt like 3 days. The crew of the Eternal Resolve had settled into their routines. They worked, ate, slept, and dreamed of what they might find. Elena walked through the ship's main corridor on her way to the bridge. The corridor was wide enough for 10 people to walk side by side. Shops lined both sides, selling food, books, and small luxuries. Children ran past her laughing. They had been born on the ship during the final years of construction. "Morning, Captain," said a baker, offering her a fresh roll. She took it with a smile. The simple act of buying bread made the massive warship feel like home. On the bridge, the mood was different. Commander Park stood at the sensor station, frowning at the displays. "Something wrong?" Elena asked. "Maybe," Park replied. "We're 20 minutes from Kepler 442, but I'm getting strange readings. There's something in the system, but sensors can't identify it. Like the signals are being blocked somehow." Elena sat in her command chair. "All crew battle stations. This is not a drill. Shields up, weapons on standby." Alarms blared throughout the ship. The lights shifted from white to red. 50,000 people moved to their assigned positions. The massive ship prepared for anything. The Eternal Resolve dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Kepler 442 system. Stars appeared normal again instead of stretched lines. A planet hung in space ahead of them, blue and green like Earth. "Full sensor sweep," Elena ordered. "Captain," Park said, his voice tight, "I'm detecting structures, artificial satellites, and something on the planet's surface. Cities, maybe. Captain, this system isn't empty." Elena's heart raced. "Are they hostile? Any weapons pointed at us?" "No weapons detected. But Captain, the readings are wrong. The system appears almost empty, but there are gravitational anomalies everywhere. Lots of them." Elena stood up. "Show me." The main screen displayed the system. Red dots marked the anomalies. There were hundreds of them, scattered throughout the space around the planet. "Could they be natural?" Elena asked. "No," said Lieutenant Sarah Chen, the science officer. "The pattern is too organized. It's like they're positioned in a defensive formation. Captain, I think there are ships out there. Lots of ships. They're just hidden somehow." Elena took a deep breath. This was the moment humanity had prepared for. Open all communication channels. All frequencies. Let's introduce ourselves. The communications officer, a young man named David Torres, worked his controls. "Channels open, Captain. Broadcasting on all known frequencies and a few theoretical ones. Elena cleared her throat. Attention, unknown vessels. This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the United Human Nations ship Eternal Resolve. We come in peace from the planet Earth. We mean no harm and seek only to establish peaceful contact with other civilizations. Silence filled the bridge. Seconds became minutes. Elena waited, her hands gripping the armrests of her chair. Then space itself seemed to ripple. One by one, hundreds of ships appeared. They had been invisible, but now they became real. The ships came in every shape and size imaginable. Some looked like crystals. Others were organic, like living creatures. Some were perfect spheres. Others had angles that hurt to look at. Holy, Commander Park whispered. There are at least 300 ships out there. The crew stared at the display. Humanity had wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now they had their answer. They were very much not alone. A transmission came through. The voice was strange, with clicks and hisses, but the computer translated it into English. Attention, human vessel. This is Ambassador Thelvrak of the Sarith species, representing the Galactic Council. We welcome you to the Garden of Voices, a neutral meeting ground. Please maintain your current position while we arrange a delegation. Elena exchanged glances with Commander Park. Garden of Voices? She said. They were waiting for us. Looks like it, Park replied. The question is why. Elena activated the communication channel. Ambassador Thelvrak, this is Captain Vasquez. We accept your welcome and will maintain position. May I ask how long you've known about humanity? There was a pause. Then Thelvrak's voice returned. We have observed your species for 80 of your years, Captain. We have watched, we have learned, and we have debated. Today we finally meet. Elena felt a chill. 80 years. Since the early 2200s, when humanity first started broadcasting more powerful signals into space. They had been watching all along. Over the next hour, a delegation was arranged. A small shuttle left the Eternal Resolve, carrying Elena and 10 other officers. They flew toward a massive, crystalline structure that appeared near the planet. It was the Council's mobile diplomatic station. As they approached, Elena studied the other ships through the shuttle's windows. Each one was unique. The galaxy wasn't just inhabited, it was crowded with different species. Captain, said Lieutenant Chen, sitting beside her, I've been analyzing the alien ships. Some of them have technology centuries ahead of ours. But Captain, none of them are as large as the Eternal Resolve. We built the biggest ship here. Elena frowned. That's either going to impress them or worry them. The shuttle docked with the station. The doors opened, and Elena stepped into a corridor that changed colors based on where she looked. It made her dizzy. They were led to a large chamber. At least 20 different alien species waited there. Elena recognized none of them from human fiction. These weren't little gray aliens or bug-eyed monsters. They were completely different from anything Earth had imagined. Ambassador Thelvrak stood at the center. He was tall and reptilian, covered in blue scales. His golden eyes studied Elena with intelligence. Captain Vasquez, he said, his voice deep and resonant. On behalf of the Galactic Council, I welcome humanity to the greater community. Elena stepped forward. She had practiced this moment 1,000 times. Ambassador, on behalf of humanity, I thank you. We have dreamed of this day for centuries. As have we, Thelvrak replied. Please sit. There is much to discuss. The meeting lasted for hours. Elena learned that the galaxy was organized under the Galactic Council, a federation of peaceful species. They had been at peace for 300 years. Trade, culture, and knowledge flowed freely between worlds. But Elena also noticed something. Many of the alien representatives seemed nervous. They kept glancing at displays showing the Eternal Resolve. Finally, a species that looked like a floating crystal jellyfish spoke. Captain Vasquez, we must ask, why did your species build such a powerful warship for first contact? Why not a civilian vessel? The chamber grew quiet. Every alien eye turned to Elena. She chose her words carefully. Because we learned from our history. Earth wasn't always unified. We fought wars over land, resources, and ideas. Millions died. We nearly destroyed our own planet. But we learned something important. Peace doesn't protect itself. Hope needs guardians. We built the Eternal Resolve not because we want war, but because we know that being defenseless invites violence. A beetle-like alien clicked its mandibles. So you admit you are a violent species? We were, Elena said. Past tense. We chose to be better. But choosing peace doesn't mean forgetting how to defend it. Thelvrak nodded slowly. An interesting philosophy. Most species join the Council after being discovered by us. They are integrated slowly, carefully, but you came to us on your own terms, in a ship that outguns any vessel in our fleet. You are unlike any species we have encountered. Before Elena could respond, alarms blared. The chamber's displays lit up with urgent messages. A council officer rushed to Thelvrak and whispered something in his ear. The ambassador's face darkened. He turned to Elena. "Captain, we have received a distress call. A mining colony in the neighboring system is under attack. The attackers are a machine intelligence called the Krell. They are hostile and powerful. We have been in a cold war with them for 3 centuries. Elena stood. "How can we help?" Thelvrak looked surprised. "You would fight for people you just met?" "If someone needs help, you help them," Elena said simply. "That's what decent people do." For the first time, Thelvrak smiled. It was a terrifying expression on a reptilian face, but Elena understood it was friendly. Then perhaps humanity joining the galaxy is exactly what we needed. The Eternal Resolve moved through space at maximum speed. Behind it, 3 council ships struggled to keep up. The human vessel was faster than they expected. Elena stood on the bridge watching the tactical display. The mining colony was in the Delta Serpentis system, 30 minutes away at current speed. According to the Council, 3 of their warships were already there, trying to defend the colony. They were losing. "What do we know about the Krell?" Elena asked Lieutenant Chen. The science officer pulled up files that the Council had sent. "They're machines, Captain. Artificial intelligence that gained self-awareness thousands of years ago. They don't negotiate. They don't communicate. They just take what they want. The Council has been in a stalemate with them for 300 years. Why a stalemate?" Commander Park asked. "Why hasn't either side won?" "The Krell are powerful, but they're not creative," Chen explained. "They use the same tactics over and over. The Council learned to counter them. But the Council is also peaceful. They don't attack, they only defend. So neither side advances." Elena frowned. "That's about to change. Tactical, what are we looking at?" Lieutenant Commander James Rodriguez, the tactical officer, highlighted the sensor data. "1 Krell Devastator-class ship, Captain. It's about 3 kilometers long, covered in weapons, and it's deployed approximately 200 smaller drone craft. The Council ships are trying to protect the colony shields, but they're getting overwhelmed." "Weapons status?" "All fusion lances charged and ready," Rodriguez replied. "Missile bays loaded. Point defense systems online. Quantum shields at full power. Captain, we're ready for anything." Elena sat in her command chair. She had fought in 3 wars, but never against machines. Never against an enemy that didn't fear death. "Open a channel to the Council ships." A hologram appeared, showing a 4-armed alien with purple skin. "This is Commander Velthar of the Council Defense Fleet. Human vessel, you should stay back. The Krell are extremely dangerous." "With respect, Commander," Elena said, "we came to help." "What's your situation?" Velthar's forearms gestured in what might have been frustration. "The Devastator is too powerful. Our weapons barely scratch its hull. The drones are destroying our shields. We have maybe 10 minutes before we're forced to retreat. If we do, the colony dies. 20,000 civilians, Captain." Elena looked at Rodriguez. "Can we take that Devastator?" The tactical officer studied his screens. "Their armor is thick, but their weapons are kinetic and laser-based. Our quantum shields should hold. And Captain, our fusion lances are designed to punch through asteroids. I think we can hurt them." Elena made her decision. "Commander Velthar, we're engaging. Pull your ships back and focus on the drones. We'll handle the big one." "Captain, you don't understand," Velthar protested. "No single ship can fight a Devastator." "Then watch and learn," Elena said. She cut the channel and turned to her crew. "All hands, battle stations. This is what we trained for. Helm, take us in fast. Tactical, prepare firing solutions on that Devastator. Target their weapon systems first. Let's cut their teeth before we go for the kill." The Eternal Resolve accelerated. The massive ship moved with surprising grace, its engines burning bright blue. As they entered the battle zone, Elena saw the situation clearly. The mining colony sat on an asteroid, protected by a glowing energy shield. The shield was failing, showing cracks of red. 3 Council ships limped around it, their hulls scorched and damaged. Swarms of small Krell drones filled the space between, firing constantly. And there, like a dark metal predator, hung the Devastator. It was shaped like a blade, covered in weapons that fired without stopping. It had no windows, no lights, no signs of life. Just cold calculating machine intelligence. Entering range in 10 seconds, the helm officer announced. Activate point defense systems, Elena ordered. Show those drones what human engineering can do. The Eternal Resolve opened fire. Thousands of small cannons emerged from its hull, each one tracking and targeting independently. The computer systems worked faster than thought, calculating trajectories and firing solutions. Krell drones exploded by the dozens. The point defense didn't just shoot down some of them. It shot down nearly all of them. In 30 seconds, 200 drones became 20. On the council ships, Commander Velthar watched in amazement. How? He whispered. Elena smiled. Humans have been shooting down missiles since the 20th century. We've had a lot of practice. Captain, the Devastator is turning toward us, Rodriguez reported. Multiple weapon systems locking on. Let them fire, Elena said calmly. Activate quantum shields, full power. The Devastator unleashed everything. Lasers, plasma bolts, kinetic rounds. Enough firepower to destroy a city. It all hit the Eternal Resolve's shields. The shields held. They glowed bright white, absorbing and dispersing the energy. Alarms blared on the bridge, but Elena watched the shield strength indicator. It dropped from 100% to 78%. Then it stabilized. Shields holding, Commander Park reported, sounding amazed. Captain, they're recharging. We can take this. Elena leaned forward. Rodriguez, target their forward weapon clusters. Fire fusion lances. Full power. 3 beams of superheated fusion energy lanced out from the Eternal Resolve. They moved at near light speed, crossing the distance in a fraction of a second. Where they hit the Devastator, armor vaporized. Explosions rippled across the machine ship's hull. Direct hits, Rodriguez said with satisfaction. Their forward weapons are offline. The Devastator tried to turn, bringing other weapons to bear. But the Eternal Resolve was faster. Elena had studied Earth's naval battles, how smaller ships could outmaneuver larger ones. Helm, bring us around. Stay on their damaged side. Don't let them get a clean shot. The huge warship moved like a dancer circling the Krell vessel. More fusion lances fired. More explosions blossomed on the Devastator's hull, but the Krell were adaptive. They launched more drones from internal bays. These drones didn't attack the Eternal Resolve. Instead, they flew toward the mining colony. They're going for the civilians, Chen warned. Elena didn't hesitate. Rodriguez, split our fire. Point defense on those drones. Keep the lances on the Devastator. We can do both. Captain, that's going to strain our systems, then strain them. Fire! The Eternal Resolve became a storm of destruction. Its point defense cannons swiveled and fired, taking down drones. Its fusion lances continued to carve into the Devastator. The ship's reactor worked at maximum capacity, feeding power to shields, weapons, and engines all at once. Human engineering had been built for this. Centuries of war had taught humanity one thing: how to fight efficiently. The Council ships watched in awe. They had fought the Krell for 300 years. They had lost thousands of ships and millions of lives. And now, a single human vessel was taking apart a Devastator like it was made of paper. Commander Velthar opened a channel. Captain Vasquez, what are your orders? How can we help? Elena saw an opportunity. Focus your fire on their engine section. Right there. She transmitted coordinates. When I give the signal, hit them with everything you have. The 3 Council ships moved into position. They were damaged, but still capable. Their weapons powered up. Elena watched the Devastator. It was trying to retreat now, its machine intelligence recognizing it was losing. But she wouldn't let it escape. Helm, full speed. Get in front of them. Block their escape route. The Eternal Resolve surged forward. 12 kilometers of human defiance positioned itself between the Krell ship and freedom. Rodriguez, target their main reactor. I want a firing solution so precise that it makes them think we can see through their hull. On it, Captain. Rodriguez worked his console. Sensors probed the Devastator, using dozens of different methods. Finally, he smiled. Got it. Their reactor is right there. But Captain, our lances might cause a chain reaction. If we hit it right, the whole ship goes up. That's the idea, Elena said. Council ships, fire now. All 4 ships fired at once. The Council vessels hit the engine section, disabling the Devastator's ability to run. The Eternal Resolve's fusion lances struck the reactor core. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the Devastator lit up from inside. Explosions tore through its hull. The machine ship broke apart in a brilliant flash of light. The bridge crew cheered. Elena allowed herself a small smile. All drones destroyed, Rodriguez reported. No enemy contacts remaining. Captain, we won. Elena stood. Open a channel to the mining colony. A hologram appeared showing a green-skinned alien with 3 eyes. This is Colony Director Presh, thank you. Thank you. You saved us all. Just doing what's right, Elena replied. Are your people safe? Yes. All 20,000 accounted for. We thought we were dead. Then you appeared and you were like nothing we've ever seen. Who are you? Elena smiled. We're humans, and we just joined the neighborhood. Across the galaxy, the battle had been broadcast. Millions of beings watched as humanity's first warship destroyed a Krell Devastator in 14 minutes, a feat that had never been accomplished before. On Council Station Zenith, Ambassador Thelvrak watched the recording. Around him, other council members sat in stunned silence. They fight like nothing we've ever encountered, said the Valix representative. They adapt. They overwhelm. They don't hesitate, added Akresh. Thelvrak stood. They fight to win. Not for glory, not for territory. They fight to protect. Perhaps, my friends, we have been thinking Council Station Zenith had never seen such a gathering. Representatives from all 47 member species filled the grand chamber. Holographic projections allowed those who couldn't breathe the atmosphere to participate. The air hummed with translated conversations in 100 languages. Captain Elena Vasquez stood at the center of it all, feeling very small and very human. Beside her stood Commander Park and Lieutenant Chen. They were the only humans in a room full of aliens. Ambassador Thelvrak called the assembly to order. His blue scales caught the light as he raised his arms. Members of the Council, we are here to discuss humanity's petition for membership. 3 days ago, a single human vessel destroyed a Krell Devastator in combat. This achievement cannot be ignored. A ripple of noise spread through the chamber. Some species chittered excitedly. Others made sounds of concern. A tall, insectoid alien stood. Elena recognized the species as Vrixtal, warriors from a high-gravity world. Ambassador Thelvrak, I must object. Humanity has been in space for less than 100 years. They have no history with the Council. And yes, they defeated one Krell ship. But at what cost? We have watched their transmissions, we know their history, war after war, weapon after weapon, they nearly destroyed their own planet. Elena felt her jaw tighten, but she remained silent. Thelvrak had told her to let the Council speak first. Another alien stood, this one resembling a floating cluster of crystals. The Valix representative spoke in musical tones. The Vrixtal makes a valid point. Humanity's military capability is impressive, but concerning. They build weapons that surpass our own. They fight with an aggression we have not seen in 3 centuries. Are they saviors or are they a new threat? A small, furry creature stood next. The Prill were peaceful traders, barely a meter tall but with voices that carried. I disagree with my colleagues. I watched the battle recording 20 times. The humans didn't have to help. They had no alliance with us, no treaty, no obligation. But when they heard people needed help, they came. That speaks to their character. The debate went on for an hour. Some species argued that humanity should be welcomed. Others insisted they should be monitored. A few suggested humanity should be restricted from building more warships. Finally, Thelvrak turned to Elena. Captain Vasquez, you have heard our concerns. The Council would like to hear from you. Why should humanity be granted membership? Elena stepped forward. She had thought about this moment during the journey back to Kepler 442. She had practiced speeches and rehearsed arguments. But now, standing before dozens of alien species, she decided to simply tell the truth. Members of the Council, she began, I won't lie to you about humanity's past. Yes, we fought wars. Yes, we built terrible weapons. We split the atom and used it to kill. We polluted our planet until the ice caps melted and coastal cities drowned. We were cruel to each other in ways I'm ashamed to describe. The chamber was silent. Every eye, stalk, and sensory organ focused on her. But we learned, Elena continued. We looked at what we had done, and we were horrified, so we changed. It wasn't easy. It took generations. We had to overcome greed, hatred, and fear. We had to learn that we're stronger together than apart. We unified our world not because it was easy, but because it was necessary. She gestured to the view screen, which showed Earth. That planet taught us hard lessons. We know what happens when you have power and no wisdom. We know what it's like to be on the edge of extinction, and we know that the only way to survive is to care for each other. A creche representative clicked its mandibles. Beautiful words, Captain. But words are easy. You say you have changed, but you arrived here in a warship. You carry enough weapons to destroy a planet. How is that change? Because we learned the difference between violence and strength, Elena replied. Violence is what you use to take things from others. Strength is what you use to protect. We didn't build the eternal resolve to conquer. We built it because we hoped to find others out here in the stars. And if we found you, we wanted to be able to stand beside you as equals, not as children needing protection. Thelvrak nodded slowly. You make a compelling argument, Captain. But the Council must consider practical matters. Your ship is more powerful than anything in our fleet. What happens if humanity builds 10 more like it? 20? What if your species decides the Council's peaceful ways are weak? Elena met his golden eyes. Then you judge us on our actions, not our potential. Yes, we could build more ships. Yes, we could become a threat. But we could also become your strongest allies. The choice of who we become is ours, and we choose to be the kind of people who help mining colonies under attack. The Vrikstal representative stood again. His chitinous armor clicked as he moved. I propose a test. If humanity wishes to join the Council, they must prove they can protect, not just destroy. Let them demonstrate that their strength serves others. What kind of test? Elena asked. Before the Vrikstal could answer, alarms blared throughout the station. Red lights flashed. Council members looked around in confusion. An officer rushed into the chamber. He was Sarith like Thelvrak, but younger and clearly terrified. Ambassador, we have an emergency. Long-range sensors have detected a massive Krell fleet heading toward Council space. The chamber erupted in chaos. Species shouted in their languages. Some stood, others fled toward exits. Thelvrak raised his arms, calling for calm. How many ships? He demanded. At least 200, sir, including multiple devastators. They'll reach the core worlds in 72 hours. Ambassador, this is the largest Krell force we've ever seen. If they reach Aurelia Prime. He didn't need to finish. Everyone knew Aurelia Prime. It was the heart of Council space, home to 6 billion civilians from multiple species. Elena felt her stomach drop. 200 ships. The Eternal Resolve had barely beaten one devastator. This was an invasion force. The Velix representative spoke, its voice trembling. We must evacuate. We cannot defend against such numbers. The Council fleet has only 60 vessels. Even with human help, we are outnumbered 3-1. We don't run, Elena said quietly. The chamber fell silent. All eyes turned to her. We don't run, she repeated louder. Not when 6 billion lives are at stake. The Vrikstal clicked his mandibles in what might have been approval. The human speaks boldly. But Captain, you defeated one devastator. This is an armada. Your confidence may be misplaced. Elena looked at Thelvrak. You wanted a test? You wanted proof that humanity can protect? Give us this battle. Let the Eternal Resolve lead your defense fleet. We'll show you what humans can do when people need saving. Commander Park leaned close to Elena and whispered, Captain, we can't fight 200 ships. We don't have to beat them all, Elena whispered back. We just have to stop them from reaching the planet. And I have an idea. Thelvrak studied her for a long moment. Then he turned to the Council. Members, humanity has made their offer. They will stand with us. The question is, will we stand with them? The vote happened quickly. There was no time for debate. Species that had argued against humanity moments ago now voted yes. Fear makes strange allies. The motion passed. Humanity would lead the defense of Aurelia Prime. As the Council members filed out to prepare, Thelvrak approached Elena. Captain, I hope you understand what you have committed to. This battle will define humanity's place in the galaxy. If you fail, billions die. And if we run, billions die anyway, Elena replied. At least this way. We die trying to do the right thing. Thelvrak's golden eyes showed something Elena hadn't seen before. Respect. You are either very brave or very foolish, perhaps both. Tell me, Captain, what is your plan? Elena pulled up a tactical display. The Council fights defensively. You wait for the enemy to attack, then respond. That's why you've been in a stalemate for 300 years. And humans fight differently? We fight to win, Elena said. We don't just want to survive the battle. We want the enemy to regret starting it. There's an old saying from Earth. The best defense is a good offense. She pointed to the display. The Krell are machines. They're smart, but they're not creative. They use patterns. We can exploit that. I need 40 Council ships and access to your entire supply of sensor decoys. What are you planning? Thelvrak asked. Elena smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. It was the smile of someone who had fought in 3 wars and learned every dirty trick. I'm going to teach the Krell what happens when you threaten someone humanity cares about. Over the next 2 days, the Eternal Resolve and 40 Council vessels prepared for battle. Elena briefed every captain personally. She taught them tactics that humanity had learned over centuries of war. Flanking maneuvers, feints and retreats, concentration of force, fighting smart instead of fair. Some Council captains were shocked. These tactics are deceptive, one said. Yes, Elena agreed. And they work. You don't have to like how we fight. You just have to trust that we fight to win. As the fleet formed up around Aurelia Prime, Elena stood on the bridge of the Eternal Resolve. Through the viewport, she could see the planet below. 6 billion souls trusted her to keep them safe. Commander Park stood beside her. Captain, what if this doesn't work? Elena didn't look away from the planet. Then we. The Battle of Aurelia Prime would be remembered for 1,000 years. On that day, 41 ships stood against 200. The odds were impossible. The stakes were 6 billion lives. And humanity showed the galaxy what it meant to fight for something greater than yourself. Elena stood on the bridge of the Eternal Resolve, watching the Krell fleet approach. They came in perfect formation, like a dark cloud of metal and malice. Each ship was identical to the others, moving in synchronized patterns. Machines didn't feel fear or doubt. They just calculated and executed. All ships report ready, Captain, Commander Park said. The Council vessels are in position. Elena studied the tactical display. Her fleet was arranged in a pattern that would have confused any military academy professor. Ships were scattered, seemingly random, but there was method in the chaos. Communications open fleet-wide channel, Elena ordered. Channel open, Captain. Elena took a breath. 40 different species were listening. Captains who had never fought together. Crews who had never trained for this. She needed to give them hope. All ships, this is Captain Vasquez. I know you're scared. I know the odds look bad. But I need you to understand something. The Krell are machines. They're powerful, but they're predictable. They do the same thing every time. They calculate the best strategy and execute it. They're smart, but they're not creative. She paused, letting that sink in. We are creative. Every species in this fleet has something unique. The Valix can manipulate electromagnetic fields. The Kresh have unmatched structural engineering. The Sarith have incredible reflexes. And humans? We're really good at controlled chaos. Today we're going to show the Krell what happens when 41 different minds work as one. Trust the plan. Trust each other. And remember, 6 billion people are counting on us. Across the fleet, alien crews listened. Some felt inspired. Others still felt terror. But they all felt something else. They felt part of something bigger. Krell fleet entering weapons range in 5 minutes, Lieutenant Rodriguez reported. Execute Phase 1, Elena ordered. The fleet launched thousands of sensor decoys, small devices that mimicked ship signatures. To the Krell sensors, it would look like the Council had 500 ships, not 41. The Krell fleet slowed, recalculating. Their formation shifted, spreading out to engage multiple targets. They're taking the bait, Chen said excitedly. They're spreading their forces. Phase 2, Elena commanded. The Council ships began moving in seemingly random patterns. They fired at the Krell but deliberately missed. They retreated, then advanced. To human eyes, it looked chaotic. But Elena had planned every movement. The Krell, following their programming, adapted to counter each move. They spread even thinner, trying to cover all approaches to Aurelia Prime. Now they're scattered, Elena said with satisfaction. Phase 3. All ships execute Concentration Alpha. What had looked like chaos suddenly became a spear. The 41 ships converged on one section of the Krell fleet. 20 enemy ships found themselves facing the entire Council force. Fire everything, Elena shouted. 41 ships unleashed their weapons. The concentrated firepower was devastating. Krell ships exploded. Their shields failed under the overwhelming assault. In 30 seconds, 12 enemy vessels were destroyed. Scatter, Elena ordered. Execute pattern Delta. The fleet broke apart again, ships moving in different directions. The Krell tried to pursue, but they were predictable. They followed the pre-programmed responses. Elena's plan was working. Don't fight all 200 ships at once. Fight 20 ships 40 times. But the Krell adapted. New formations appeared. They stopped spreading out. They began clustering together, protecting each other. Captain, they're learning, Park warned. Good, Elena said. That means they're scared. A scared enemy makes mistakes. The battle continued for hours. The Council fleet darted in and out, striking hard, then retreating. The Eternal Resolve led every charge, its massive bulk drawing fire while smaller ships attacked from the flanks. But casualties mounted. 3 Council ships were destroyed. 5 more were badly damaged. The Eternal Resolve's shields were down to 40%, and the Krell still had over 150 ships. Captain, this isn't sustainable, Rodriguez said. We've destroyed 50 ships, but we're taking too much damage. At this rate, we'll lose. Elena knew he was right. The attrition was in the Krell's favor. She needed something dramatic, something to shift the balance. Then sensors detected something new, a massive energy signature in the center of the Krell fleet. What is that? Chen asked, working her console. Captain, they're building something. It's using power from a dozen ships. The energy output is incredible. Elena felt her blood run cold. It's a world breaker. They're going to bypass us and destroy the planet directly. The world breaker was legendary. The Krell had used it 3 times in Council history. Each time it had cracked a planet's crust, killing billions. It took time to charge, but once fired, nothing could stop it. How long until it fires? Elena demanded. 8 minutes, Captain. 8 minutes to save 6 billion lives. Elena's mind raced. The world breaker was protected by at least 50 Krell ships. Her fleet couldn't fight through them in time, unless she didn't fight them at all. All ships, listen carefully, Elena said. We're going to do something insane. We're going to ram straight through their fleet. Maximum speed. Don't stop. Don't engage. Just punch through to that world breaker. Captain, that's suicide, Park protested. It's the only way, Elena replied. The Eternal Resolve will lead. We have the strongest shields. The rest of you follow in our wake. Stay close, Commander Velthar's voice came through. Captain Vasquez, this is reckless. This whole battle is reckless, Elena shot back. But it's working. Trust me one more time, a pause. Then Velthar laughed. It was a strange warbling sound. You humans are absolutely mad. Very well, for Aurelia Prime. Other captains echoed the cry in their own languages. For Aurelia Prime. The fleet formed a wedge with the Eternal Resolve at the tip. Engines blazed. The ships accelerated to ramming speed. The Krell fleet tried to block them. Ships moved to intercept. Weapons fired from all directions. The Eternal Resolve's shields lit up like a star as they absorbed hit after hit. Shields at 20%, Park reported. Keep going, Elena ordered. 15%. They were halfway through the Krell fleet. Explosions bloomed around them. A Council ship on their flank took a direct hit and vaporized, but the rest kept going. 10%. Almost there, Elena said through gritted teeth. The world breaker was ahead, a massive construct of metal and energy. It was charging, building up power to destroy a world. Countdown 90 seconds, 5% shields. Fire fusion lances! Everything we have, Elena commanded. The Eternal Resolve opened fire. Every weapon on the ship discharged at once. The fusion lances struck the world breaker dead center. Behind them, 40 Council ships added their firepower. The world breaker's shields held. 70 seconds, again, Elena shouted. Pour it on! Another volley. The world breaker's shields flickered. 60 seconds. The Krell ships around them realized what was happening. They stopped fighting the fleet and turned their weapons on the world breaker's shields, trying to reinforce them. Captain, they're protecting it, Chen said. Then we go through them too, Elena replied. Helm, ram that thing. Full speed. Captain, our shields are almost gone. I know, do it anyway. The Eternal Resolve surged forward. The massive warship, 12 kilometers of human determination, accelerated directly at the world breaker. Krell ships tried to block them. The Eternal Resolve didn't slow down. It crashed through smaller vessels like they were paper. The collision alarms blared. The ship shuddered. Hull breaches reported on multiple decks, but they kept going. 30 seconds on the world breaker countdown. Brace for impact, Elena shouted. The Eternal Resolve struck the world breaker's shields. For a moment nothing happened. Then the shields collapsed under the sheer kinetic force. The human ship plowed into the weapon itself. Metal screamed. Explosions rippled along both vessels. The Eternal Resolve's forward sections crumpled, but the ship's momentum carried it forward, tearing the world breaker apart. The weapon's energy discharge became unstable. Instead of firing at Aurelia Prime, it detonated. The explosion consumed 20 Krell ships and sent the Eternal Resolve tumbling through space. On the bridge, Elena pulled herself up from the floor. Sparks flew from damaged consoles. Emergency lights flickered. Damage report, she gasped. Hull breaches on 20 decks, Park reported, blood running down his face. Life support failing in forward sections. Shields offline. Weapons offline. Captain, we're dead in space. Elena looked at the tactical display. The Krell fleet was in disarray. The destruction of the world breaker had disrupted their formation, but they still outnumbered the Council fleet 2-1. Then something unexpected happened. The Krell fleet stopped. For 30 seconds they just hung in space, unmoving. Then as one they turned and began to retreat. Captain, they're leaving, Chen said, disbelief in her voice. The Krell are retreating. Elena couldn't believe it. In 300 years of war, the Krell had never retreated. Never. Ambassador Thelvrak's voice came through. Captain Vasquez, do you see this? They're afraid. For the first time in recorded history, the Krell are afraid.